Well, after 80 days and a few Sherlock stories in the middle, I have finally finished The Lord of the Rings. If you want to see my videos on the first two books in the trilogy and The Hobbit, then the link is above, as well as my reviews of the movies. Because I saw the movies last year, put these books on my rating list, and, my rating list is big, so it took a while, but we're finally here at the end of all things. So, this book pretty much goes right where the second one ended off, and it's similar to The Two Towers in that the first half is focused on Aragorn and, like, Merry and Pippin, while the second half is more focused on Frodo and Sam. It's basically kind of the same structure, which I like, but I would have preferred it if it was in chronological order. That way it could, like, splice things up better. But anyway, Gandalf goes to Minas Tirith to warn Dethanol of the attack by Sauron. And Dethanol is the father of Boromir and Faramir. And he is a piece of work, isn't he? So he thinks that Faramir has died. He's not dead, he's just a little paralyzed and weak. So, in a fit of madness, he burns himself alive along with Faramir. Now he dies, but Faramir lives because Pippin gets Gandalf to rescue him at the same time. So that was a crazy chapter right there. Yeah, Denethor will not be missed because even before he went crazy, he was kind of a terrible father to Faramir, always looking at him negatively compared to his brother, Sean Bean. But like I said in the Two Towers, I think actually Faramir was a stronger man than Boromir because Faramir resisted the ring, or the orders of the ring, while Boromir sadly did not. Now I don't know if that's talking about the like how good they are as people, or just how you know strong-willed they are. But that's up for debate. Meanwhile, Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli, they go to meet this army of ghosts who so those are these dead people who were bound by this evil curse, and they will not go pass on to heaven until they fight for Aragorn. And Aragorn's like, okay, guys, get these motherfuckers. So yeah, they help them defeat the baddies, and then they go away, which it's a fail deal. It's a fail deal. And Aragorn is also able to transport the Gondorians, or whatever they're called, up to Minas Tirith for the battle. So the battle is pretty epic, but I feel like the movies capsule the epicness more than the book does. The book is kind of like this happened, this happened, this happened. It's not as immersive as the movie, but of course I love the scene where Eowyn, not to be confused with Alwyn or Eowyn, a lot of similar names in this book. Well, Seed pretends to be a man and kills the Witch King because the whole prophecy, no man could kill me. C says, well, I'm not a man. I am no man. Which is kind of a badass scene and pretty feminist for the 1950s, I gotta say. Tolkien was ahead of its time. This is kind of the original Buffy, if you'd like. Or, Sarah Connell, Ellen Ripley, you know. Also, Mary gets the help, and I liked his friendship with Eowyn. I kind of felt like they had more chemistry, and they sort of ended up together rather than Eowyn and Faramir. It just kind of came out of nowhere to me. But as long as they're both happy. So everybody, the two nations work together in harmony to defeat Sauron's army, but Theoden dies. It's very sad. Rest in peace. Though I felt like I was more emotionally attached to him in the movies. Again, just I don't know. Just I feel like he had really good chemistry with Miranda Otto, who played Eowyn. So Aragorn gets to Minas Tirith, and he heals Faramir, Eowyn, and Merry. But like I said, it's too late for Theoden. Rest in peace again. He leads the army of men, proving that yes, he would be a great king, but unfortunately, the army is outnumbered, which is when we then kind of switch to the last part of the book, and we see what Frodo and Sam are up to. They finally reach Mount Doom on Mordor, and Frodo succumbs to the ring at last. They've been hinting at it throughout most of Book 2 and early parts of Book 3, and he finally says, the ring is mine. Now, I think this is a really good twist, because Lord of the Rings kind of goes on conventional tropes of the hero's journey. The good guy always wins, the good guy does good stuff, but this is very unique because in this, the good guy loses, or at least he loses his inner conflict. He succumbs to the weaknesses, and I think that's brilliant. He isn't the one who defeats the enemy. The enemy's defeated by sheer luck, in a way, because my boy Gollum, he shows up out of nowhere, tries to get the ring from himself, rips it off of Frodo, cuts off his nasty little hobbit's fingers, and then falls into the pit and dies. So, this wasn't exactly Frodo's victory. It was just pure luck, and, both of their greed, I guess, but mostly Gollum's. So both Gollum and the ring are destroyed, and Sauron is dead dead. He's not mostly dead, he's dead dead. So this means that Aragorn wins. Yeah, because once, once Sauron's defeated, all his little Nazgul minions are defeated. The classic trope. The big bad's gone, all of his minions suddenly die. So, I don't mind it here, though. I think it's used well here, because he actually created them, so it makes more sense. So Aragorn officially becomes the king of Gondor and marries Arwen, not to be confused with Eowyn. Um, which, he's a very lucky man. Liv Tyler is a very beautiful woman. Though I suppose that she is also lucky because she gets to marry Viggo Mortensen, so it's a win-win. Though I wish Arwen had more to do in these books. I feel like in the Lord of the Rings movies, at least he had the scene where he rescues Frodo from the arrows. But in this, he's mostly like an extra until the final half of the final book, which is a little, it's okay. So, it's a good old happy ending for all the characters. Eowyn marries Faramir because he can't have Aragorn, so she settles for, next best, I guess. We all say goodbye to the tree people, and it's kind of sad because they're like, those are going to be normal tree people. We're the last of the tree people, which is sad, you know? All these boring normal trees. So, just when I thought the book was wrapping up, they pull out the Scourging of the Shire chapter, which I didn't really know much about before I read the book, and wow, yeah, that could have easily added another 20 minutes to that already 4.5 hour long movie, so I get why they cut it, but I think it's pretty interesting because after all this stress, heartache, and sacrifices they've made, they come home to the Shire, and it's basically the ghetto now. It's run by this mean old man named Shalky, who is actually Saruman in disguise. You remember Saruman, right? Well, Peter Jackson didn't, apparently. So, all the hobbits, led by Merry, they raise this rebellion, and they're like, come on guys, we could defeat stupid Saruman. So they get the whole Shire to band together. Um, and Wormtongue is still a thing now, and he kills Saruman, but he himself is killed by other hobbits with a bow and arrow. Now, Wormtongue's a very interesting character because I think he got way more than he bargained for, or way less than he bargained for. He's kind of still greedy, but you kind of feel bad for him in this chapter because he's basically like Saruman's bitch. And I don't know. I feel like there's more beneath the surface that we could theorize on about like Wormtongue's true motivations, and I don't know. He's kind of a tragic villain in a way because he at the end of it he's so pathetic that you basically pity him. Well, anyway, that's the end of that chapter, and we get to like the actual ending from the movie. Sam marries Rosie, and he helps to heal the Shire with the help of Galadriel's gifts. Frodo has some PTSD, so he's like, fuck this place. I'm going to the Undying Lands, and he leaves with Bilbo and Gandalf and Galadriel and Elrond, and they go to into the West. And it is a beautiful ending. I love the ending because I don't know, things get kind of real, you know. Kind of like a lot of veterans when they come home, they can't really cope with real life. I assume I'm not one, but I've heard a lot of stories. So I think it was nice of Tolkien to actually capture that into his fake battles too, because yeah. And then after that, we are filled with pages and pages and pages of appendices. Some of which I like, some of which I don't like. The ones I don't like are the who's related to who and whose family trees and this is how this is how we this is how we tell time in the Shire and yada 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 fucking yada. But the parts of the appendices I really like is Aragorn's backstory and how he fell in love with Arwen. It really adds more like character to both Arwen and Aragorn, and makes you realize how they did fall in love and stuff. Um, and it was sweet how she chose to die with him than live forever without him. I thought that was really sweet. Best love story. And it also describes how after they all get old and Aragorn and Arwen die. Sam, Legolas, and Gimli also go into the West, which is really beautiful because, the cast is together again. And I love the friendship between Legolas and Gimli. They come from kind of opposing civilizations, but they find a true bond in friendship. They bond over killing people, and it's beautiful. And considering how sad Sam was that Frodo was leaving, I think it's really sweet that he gets to see him again too. So, The Lord of the Rings is regarded as one of the greatest fantasy series of all time. And I agree with it. I'm a huge fan of the movies. And of course, considering how adaptable they are to the books, of course I love the books. But to me, I feel like, I don't know, I think A Song of Ice and Fire is better written, at least with the prose, but A Song of Ice and Fire was never finished. So I can't really say that's my favorite fantasy series. And Harry Potter is my favorite fantasy series, but I feel like that's just because you get to spend way more time with the characters and you really get to know them, follow them as they grow up. It's more of a coming of age story, while The Lord of the Rings is kind of just three books and take place right after each other, which is, really good. So I really can't decide which one I like better between Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings. I know some die-hard Lord of the Rings fans are blasphemous that I'm even considering this, but, I'm not going to choose. But all in all, I did love the Lord of the Rings and Return of the King. I can't exactly pick my favorite book of the series because I think they're pretty neck and neck. Fellowship is definitely like my least favorite because takes so long to actually get going. You know what? No, Return of the King is the best one, just because of how they stick the landing. Not many books could do that. So I was, like I said, I was mixed on the appendices. I feel like overall, in terms of the main story, I think it was just beautifully done. So I'm gonna give Fellowship and Two Towels a B plus, and Return of the King an A minus. Because it's, I love them all, but I think Return of the King has a slight edge, now that I think about it. And now, if anybody is wondering, I am not reading the Silmarillion. I wasn't a huge fan of the appendices, and from what I've read, the Silmarillion just seems like more of that. And I didn't even like the Road of Ice and Fire, and I love Westeros, and I barely even liked that book. So maybe fake history books aren't for me. So let me know what you guys thought of The Return of the King down in the comments below. And I'll see you next time for some more Sorlock videos, or some more Doctor Who, Torchwood, Westworld, Better Call Saul, pretty much any of that. So subscribe if you're into that. And until then, peace.